Okay, I'm live here with 52 weeks of AWS special session about AWS CodeWhisperer, an AI pair programming tool. I've used Copilot quite a bit, and today I'm going to use the AWS equivalent, which is CodeWhisperer. So what I'll do is I will start out with first showing you a little bit about what Copilot can do, because that's the one I know the best. And then after I show that, then I'll move on to AWS and I'll show you how AWS does it. I've only tried it for, like, let's say 10 seconds. So I think it'll be a good context for me to first start with Copilot, show some of the cool things that you can do with it, and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And let's go here. And let's make sure that I've got things pretty large. There we go. Looks pretty good. All right. So first up here, let's go over to Copilot first, because I have more familiarity with this. So I have this MLOps template here that I've been experimenting with, and this is something that I use for doing machine learning operations because it has access to GPUs and all kinds of stuff. And I think it's going to be under active development, and I've got it all set up, and it should be super fast. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this template, and I'm going to maybe I'll just even launch it since it's already got the code spaces working. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just click this, and we'll get this running very, very quickly. So the idea with code spaces, and one of the advantages I guess it has over the Cloud9 environment, is that it actually is able to pre-bake them, where your environment, you put all the different things you want, the extensions, etc., and those extensions are all set up for you inside of your environment. So you see it's like super fast, right? Like that is pretty awesome. And so what I'll do here to start off with, just to give an example, is that notice that this environment will just show that it's got GPU access. So if I go to utils and I say verify PyTorch, right, you'll see that it's got GPUs and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I need them today, but this is just more of a fact that you do get access. Well, in this case, it may need to get rebooted or something. So I don't really need them. So who cares for now? But what I will do is I'll make a directory called Copilot instead of here, and this will just give some examples of some of the things you can do with Copilot. And I'll just do like a hello or something like that. Now let me just kick the tires here with what Copilot can do. So Copilot is enabled by this extension, and it has GitHub Copilot Labs, which is something that allows you to explain code and translate it. And then it has I also have the tool. So let me just first show you Labs. So if we go down to this, what is kind of cool about it is that you can actually highlight some code and it'll translate it. So for example, if I cd into this Copilot directory here, and I want to have Python, for example, create a for loop. So let's use both. Let's use Copilot Labs and let's use Copilot. So I'm going to say, build a random list of fruit. And so what this will do is it'll then start to give me suggestions, and I can use it to basically build out stuff. And we can say, fruit is equal to, and notice here that it will actually give me suggestions like, oh, in fact, there we go. That's what I was hoping for it to do, and it gave me a bunch of fruits, right? And in fact, I don't even need the random for now. But that's one of the advantages of this tool. Now, one thing I'll point out that I recommend probably in any environment is to have a tool to help you with it. So inside of this environment, I have something called refactor. And what I do is I format the code and lint it anytime the AI assistant gives me instructions. And so if I say this, I say make factor, and actually let's just double check that it can go into Copilot. I might need to tweak this so that it can read Copilot code. There we go. And we can say format Copilot. There we go. That way I can lint and format that directory. And so if I say make refactor, there we go. Notice that then it refactored that code for me. So see how it made it nice and clean. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend when you're using these fancy tools is get the suggestion from the fancy tool, but then also have like some kind of formatting and refactoring step so you get the best of both worlds. So you get traditional software development tools and you get the new ones. So the next thing I'll do is I'll just say like, you know, uh, build a for loop that prints out each item in the list, right? Let's just keep it real simple. and and uh and I can just say for, there we go, for F in fruit, print F. I mean, we could even like we could count. So we could say build a for loop that prints out each fruit in the list with a running number uh, and a colon with the fruit name. So like example, yes, sure, that looks good. So let's do that. So we'll just say for and range. Now, this is one of the things that I do with Copilot a little bit is I will guide it just like I would be guiding um just like I would be guiding like a student or somebody I'm working with. I mean, although I would say I wouldn't necessarily do this with somebody that was an experienced developer, but I do have to give them some kind of an input and feedback loop. And so what I might want to do as well is I might want to say like, use certain things, use the enumerate function and use f strings, right? So now I can just get rid of this and I could just say, for. And so look, now there is some skill involved here in basically telling the right prompts. And now if we run this, if I just say Python hello, or we'll call this Python Copilot hello. There we go. Right, we have a neat little script. Now here's where the Copilot translator comes in. Is if I click on this and I just grab this whole script, what I can do, I could say explain it, right, which is kind of cool. So let's ask Copilot, and it'll give me like basically documentation for it, which is pretty cool. Uh, which I like. But also, what we can do is we can also say that I want to translate the code, and this is the part that I think is really pretty cool. Is I could say, what about translating it to shell, which I think there is shell. Hopefully, there's shell. Why is it not giving me bash or sh? Weird how I don't see a shell example here, which is kind of a bummer. I'm pretty sure there is a shell example. Stylus shell. Oh, shell script. There we go. Shell script. And then I say ask Copilot, and there we go. So now it gives me like a shell script example of this. So wait. I don't think that's the right example. Incorrect. So it's still beta. What we could do is, let's try one more time. No, it didn't. Oh, here we go. Build a loop. Now that looks better. So let's grab it and let's see if this works. So if I go through here and I say touch Copilot hello.sh and I go to paste this in, let's see if this actually worked. Now, We don't want that one. This does not look like echo. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Yeah. So that particular feature is still a little bit beta. I'll just remove it. But what we could do is we could translate it to Ruby. I don't know if Ruby's installed on here. I always forget. Interactive Ruby. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like there is Ruby, and if I type in Ruby, yeah, Ruby's here. So we could try Ruby. That might be a better one. So what I'll do instead is I'll just grab this one back to the labs, and I'm going to ask it to translate to Ruby. Which, although I do see PowerShell here, but let's say Ruby. There we go. Ask it, and let's see what it comes up with, and see if it works. Okay. Did that work? Huh. Yeah, for some reason this is not working today. I'm not sure why. I've had it work in the past, but maybe there's something about this one that's just it's beta. It's a beta software. But um in general though, I've been pretty happy with Copilot. So let's now go over to AWS, and now let's try a similar service, which is CodeWhisperer. So again, I've only played with it a little bit, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Cloud9. And so what I'll do here is I'll just create a new environment, and we'll call this Code Whisper Live. Go demo AWS Code Whisper. And we could go back and forth as well between Copilot and this and see which one's better. But I think I will use a pretty powerful machine because in general, I like to have powerful machines. And let's pick, sure, this one, M5 4x large, and I'll use Amazon Linux. That looks good. And we'll go ahead and create this environment. All right. So it's similar in a sense to what's going on here with Copilot, in that in this particular environment, it is got all the goodies installed, like again, CodeSpaces has, in that this is a hosted environment. In this case, again, this is a hosted environment that I can use to use Copilot, and it also has all these other tools installed on it. But in this particular environment, it's customized specifically for AWS. Now, one thing that would be nice is if AWS Cloud9 had the concept of pre-build, like GitHub Codespaces. That would be pretty cool. But I would say that one of the things that we could do is probably create SSH keys so that I can copy of this. And in fact, if I go to this repo here, I have a repo that Copilot wrote a lot of code for me. AWS assimilate AWS. Here we go. Assimilate AWS. So this repo is, a lot of this was written by Copilot. So I'm gonna grab this code and I'm gonna check it out in here. So we'll say git clone. Now this won't work because I have to create my SSH key. So I'll do that first. SSH key. STRSA. Now it is a bummer that I have to do all this SSH key stuff. It would be cool if there was a way to make that automated, because it just gets annoying every time you create a new environment to have to do this. But nothing's perfect. So let's go over here and let's go to settings, and we'll go to SSH and GPG keys. We'll make a new one. We'll call it CodeWhisperer. There we go. Perfect. And there we go. We go back. I got that repo there. So now if I go do a git clone, it works. and then I can even cd into that directory. Probably the other thing I do a lot when I'm working with code is I'll create a virtual environment so that I don't get weird things happening, and I'll put that into my bash rc. So we'll just say vim tilde bash rc. Then inside of here, I will say I will say source tilde.venv, then activate. So this will just means that I don't have to worry going forward about sourcing this. I can in fact just open up a new shell, and then it should just work. There we go. So the next thing to do here is to enable Copilot. I'm sorry, CodeWhisperer. So I'm going to click on this. This is one of the really cool things about AWS Cloud9 is got all this deep integration with AWS services. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to CodeWhisperer preview, and notice here that in fact, it actually, I believe, is already enabled because they whitelisted me, and it looks like it's good to go. So let's try it out. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to cd into this simulate AWS directory. And if I say make test or install, what happens? Let's install some packages here. So I'm going to install different things that are, probably things I care about, like Bodo 3, Pylint, some other stuff here. And what I can do is potentially create a directory that specifically deals with CodeWhisperer code. And so what I can do is I can say make directory CodeWhisperer, and I can just create some stuff. So I would say, S3 tool would probably be the first thing that's kind of a kick the tires tool for CodeWhisperer. And so let's see. I'm very curious here. I haven't really tried this yet. So if I go through here and I say, okay, I want you to write a tool that allows me to communicate with S3. Let's give it a prompt. So we'll even make this a command line tool from the beginning. So user bin env Python, and we'll say build a function that returns all of the buckets in my S3 account. Now, what's cool about this is I don't even need keys for this, because Cloud9, that's how it works. Now, in this case, it didn't do anything yet. So maybe I have to give it more of a prompt. So this is a little bit different than Copilot. If I say def, what does it do? Does it give me a prompt? S3 list, and so I guess I have to like maybe pay more attention to it. So it looks like what it's doing, I say def list S3 is, there we go. So I guess this is the part where it gives you the suggestion. So I see. So it says import Bodo 3, S3. Well, that's pretty cool. So it basically gives me the suggestion here. So then I just put this up here. I don't know how it's getting I'm assuming it's getting its information from somewhere else. Now this is one problem. See how this is kind of annoying, right? Is that, look, it didn't format the code correctly. So this is where the refactor is so critical, is that, again, with these AI tools, I think it is good to have, see this, how I do a refactor. So I'm going to add tell it to listen to this directory. So format also CodeWhisperer, CodeWhisperer, CodeWhisperer asterisk.py, and then hints, and we'll say CodeWhisperer. There we go. So now if I say make refactor, does it fix this issue here? We're about to find out. Oh, so I need to do an install. So why did Python Black not get installed? Let's double check here. Do I not have it in my requirements? Oh, I don't have it. So we need to install that. And install. All right. And now if I say refactor, yeah, see, this is a nice tool to clean up your code. Look, see how it cleaned it up for me. So this is definitely something I'd recommend for people that are using pair programming tools like this for AI pair programming, is definitely have a formatter and linter that are part of your tool chain. So that looks good so far. And yeah, look, it's smart enough to know that that's what I want to do next. And in this case, now I don't know how to get the next prompt. Okay, you just have to wait for it. I see. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It was smart enough to know how to do that. And so now if I just say Python S3 tool, it should list the buckets that are in my account. And don't know why it's, there we go. So you can see here, these are my buckets in my account. So worked pretty well, actually. Now this, we don't want that. That's not code I want. And so I can just check this in. Let me say get status, get add make file. We made changes to that. We'll just add everything. Here we go. Adding CodeWhisperer code. CodeWhisperer code. So far, pretty good. I'll need to make my get setup work here real quick. I guess one thing that's kind of cool about CodeSpaces is it's faster so far. I would say that's one big thing, is the speed here is not great with CodeWhisperer. And we'll say get push. There we go. Now what I'll do is I'm going to get out of this repo because this is not exactly what I want. And I'm going to go to a different repo here. I'm going to go to the assimilate AWS repo right here. And if I click this here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this code space, and I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to make a beefy one. I'm going to make a 16 core machine. Let's go ahead and so this will be a little bit more of an apples to apples comparison, because in this particular scenario, we can actually compare the CodeWhisperer versus Copilot step by step, right? Because again, this will be my my Copilot enabled space. Now I believe this should be pretty fast because I think it already had the pre-built container, but I'm not sure. We'll let this go for a second. So while that's installing or whatever it needs to do, I guess the next thing I can do is see how it responds to non AWS code. And so what we could do is try to just build like a calculator function. And so I'm gonna say touch CodeWhisperer calculator, and I guess to say who created it, well, I'm gonna say CW, so that I don't get confused. You know, CW calculator. Let's make it underscore CW calculator in case I need to import it. So I got this one. So to the first thing I need to do is import click, which is the command line tool that I'm going to use. Now it is pretty interesting. It gives me different kinds of suggestions actually, which is interesting. And I'm going to say, maybe I can even set the context. I can say like here, build a command line calculator. Calculator that adds and subtracts integers and uses Python click library. So is it smart enough to know how to do this? So according to this, it wants me to do from math import this. Well, so the suggestion is pretty good. So far it's doing pretty well. Now I don't want that. I want to say a calculator. And then what's going to be next here? Let's see what it does. So I'm assuming. So this is interesting. It's kind of stuck here for a second. It's like, well, wait. From math import square root. No, we actually don't want square root. So that's one thing I don't know if I would want. And we have, at least that's good. Okay, we got add. That's pretty good. That's a good suggestion. We have subtracts. There we go. So it has, and it created a function for me. So pretty good suggestions here, and very clean code. So it does seem like it takes a little bit of time, but it builds really clean code. Now, this is not a good suggestion though, because that's add two numbers. That's not what I want. Add this number, subtract this number. So this doesn't really help me too much. It's a little bit disjointed. So what I can do is I can go back up here and I can say def add and see that it does do that. And if I say def subtracts, does it do that? So it does do that. And then if I want to change this a little bit, is it smart enough to know? Let's see here. So that's a little bit better. So that's the first number. There we go. So it does know how to respond to what's going on. The speed though is a little bit slow for me. Now in here I can do some documentation that says like what's going on. I could say, this is, notice it doesn't give me the suggestion I have to do it myself. Calculator function. And then if I say example, well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good example. Calculator add. Okay. What about calculator? So I guess this would be add. So that looks reasonable. What it came up with, and then I could also do a subtract. So we could say like at, is it smart enough to know? Command Little sluggish. There we go. It's a little bit sluggish for me. I would definitely say this is something they need to get a little bit better at. And subtract here. Let's see what happens next. This is a calculator. So that's good. I mean, it is a very high quality suggestion, though. That is a plus. And yeah, it does this tool is definitely it definitely seems competent. I'll definitely give it that. There we go. So it looks good. This looks like it was actually the suggestions it's giving are very solid. Now that is an issue. Oh yeah, this indent is off. So this is something you have to really be on your toes about is watching how it generates the code. So again, I'm going to use my refactor, lint it, and reformat it. Uh-oh. 1042 is an issue. Yeah, see it did it again. So the white space that is a little bit not good that it's causing white space issues. That's not that could definitely be something to fix. Now, function already defined. Oh, because yeah, we already we need to do we need to call this sub that. And now we can reformat again. There we go. Now I'm gonna chmod it. Uh-oh. Calculator line 9. Did I already do? Oh yeah, line 9. We already add function or add it, sub it. How about that? And we'll do add it, say sub it. How about that? You got to be on your toes. You can't just hope it builds perfect code for you, which isn't horrible. It's a little slow for me though. I would say that's the big thing. And I'm gonna chmod plus x here, the utils, or no, CodeWhisperer CW calculator. So if I go to CodeWhisperer and then I do CW calculator, oh, oh, I didn't build the shebang line in. I was like, what? What's going on here? Okay, so here we go. User bin env python. Okay, well that works. Add, and we'll do 5 and 5. Oh, that's weird. What is it? Is it asking me for? Oh, it's prompt true. Well, sure. Let's. Although I don't actually want prompts true, so it is interesting how it gives me some things that I wasn't expecting. Like I wouldn't have said prompts for not to have a prompt. And let's delete that. Okay. Now, oh, so you got to give it the X and the Y, which I guess makes sense. So we say X is 5 and Y is 5. There we go. So that works. And then subtraction, we'll call this subtracts. Perfect. All right. So this does work. So let's check it in. So that looks like it's working. Adding CodeWhisperer. Right. So now let's build the same thing using Copilot. And so I'm going to go over here and let's just double check we got it installed. And yeah, we have Copilot right here. I'm not using nightly, which I'm not sure if it matters nightly versus regular, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, make one called Copilot. So I'm going to make a directory called Copilot. So we'll go make directory Copilot. Well, first, let's pull the code in. Hit pull. Let's do that. Okay. Pull. Okay. So I'm going to make a directory called Copilot. And I also need to change this so that it also knows how to do Copilot. So you can see here that the completion is kind of more of a natural pace, right? So I do think this is like it feels more natural, the code completion, and it actually works with Makefile. So that's one advantage. And then um, if I go to here, let's build the same tool. So let's go to Copilot. We'll call this Pilot or CP calculator. So let's build the same thing. Which one is? I'm pretty sure Copilot is going to go very fast. Um, let's go here and so if I go and I say, first let's build the shebang line. Okay, and then I'm going to say, here this or build a calculator tool that adds and subtracts using click package. There you go. So that's a pretty explicit instruction. And now we should be able to use it. So it says, "Yep, pretty good suggestion," um, and that's pretty good. Now, I think here is where I would say I may have to give it like a suggestion, like build an add function. Right? Like it usually, um, there we go. So you can see that was lightning fast, right? I mean, way faster than CodeWhisperer. And now once it starts going, look, it's just, I mean, just speed is just amazingly fast. And now we can say, build a click group. It's a little different. It's a little different experience here. And look, we can even say, calculator example, and let's just even see, like, look, CP Copilot calculator add, right? So it even gives us a little bit of of a of a hint of how it's going to build it, and then yeah, it just starts cranking. And in this case, the speed is very fast here. So I feel a little more of a natural developer flow. I'm using this thing. Like I like this. It's like it's just pumping suggestions very quickly. Now we do have to kind of prompt it a little bit to do some things, but it looks pretty good. And then if we want to build another one, right? Like it's pretty uh, intuitive. The intuition and speed here definitely feels great. And then yeah, so you can see here just very fast. So I would say for this particular piece of code, the speed feels a lot more natural to me. Um, and if I say Python Copilot, CP calculator, right? It's just so no module named click. So let's just make sure I do a make install maybe. Maybe I never installed the stuff I need on here. Okay. All right. So if we go here, looks pretty good. And if I say add 2 and 2, yeah, it's tough to. I would say this battle goes to Copilot. I think Copilot is just cranking, right? And if I do help, do the subtracts 2 and 2. Okay. So, subtracts. Yeah, that looks good. Now, let's try to build an AWS tool because I do have my AWS keys on this particular machine. So we can try an AWS tool now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch Copilot, and I'm going to make a S. Let's do something not too. Let's make something a little more interesting. Like, for example, look inside of all of my buckets and find something, or maybe, I mean, yeah, I think I could look for, maybe, how about count all of the items in a bucket and return back a list. That looks pretty good. So we'll call this CP for Copilot, and we'll call this S3 bucket file count. Right, so it's going to count the total number of things in a bucket in S3. And so this will be a good, this is complex enough that it should really test how smart Copilot is. So I'm gonna put the context first. So again, we'll do this. Say user bin env. Say build a command line tool using click package that counts the number of files in a bucket. It counts the number of files in all buckets in AWS account, right? So we want to make it super. So that's pretty smart, pretty smart here. So we'll do click. Yep, and we need Boto 3. So we need Boto 3. So it did tell me that. And so let's first build a get bucket lists, get a list of all the buckets in the account. So again, this is pretty smart. It's just, it knows I'm going to need this. And then it's going to say get bucket file count. So it's going to take a bucket name, and then it's going to give me the count of the files. That's it. Those are the two helper functions that I'm going to need. And so next should be smart enough to know I need to do a click group. Although I could just tell it, I could just say, basically build a click group. Count the number. Wow, pretty smart. I like it. This is where I think Copilot, for whatever reason, feels like it reads my mind. And like I can just I trust it to, like, look at this. It says get this, get the buckets, find for every bucket, and then print it out. And I can even like go back and forth with it, and I can say like this. I can say, use click colors to print file count. Look, and it even can like do some fancy stuff, like make it a little bit neater. And wow, this was quick. I mean, just lightning quick. Wow. Okay, so pretty impressive. It would be tough for CodeWhisperer to actually beat this. And I'm going to chmod it, and I'm going to go to Copilot CP S3. So is it good enough? Let's see here. Copilot. So we'll do / Copilot CP. Well, I'd even do the formatting. CP S3. There we go. We do help. Doesn't even need anything. So I don't think it does. And just say count. That's it. It's a pretty smart tool. And now it's going through. Whoa, this is amazing. This is this is like basically performance enhancing drugs for my brain. Like, look, it's crawling through all the buckets and just like finding all the different items in each bucket. I mean, this is actually pretty useful. I would use this tool. I can't believe I never thought about building this. Right, I can see if there's buckets with nothing or buckets that maybe there's stuff in there that I care about. I don't know, but this is a nice little tool. So now that I've got that, I'm going to check it in. So get add make file, get add Copilot, and we'll adding Copilot example. Now let's build the exact same tool using CodeWhisperer. So I'm going to go back to CodeWhisperer now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just ask it to build the same thing. So I will do a git pull, although, you know what? I guess to make it kind of, I don't know if I should do a git pull, but we'll do a git pull. I don't know which one would be a better test, but I'm gonna say CodeWhisperer, and we'll call this one S3 bucket count files. I hate the underscores because it just causes completion issues. So here we go. And now I'll do the same thing. I'll add the context. We'll add this. We'll say user bin env python. Then I'm going to say a message here, which is what it is, like a comment, and say this is a command line tool for building a that uses click to count the number of files in all buckets in AWS account. So this is a minus now for this tool, because notice how Copilot was able to autocomplete, and it's not auto-completing stuff for me here. So that's a minus. Now that's good. It did do that. Now that's good. It did do that. Now we could just see what it does. Let's see what it does. So it says option, name of the profile. I don't want that, because why don't you know that I'm in Cloud9? I don't need the keys here. So I don't want this suggestion. And in fact, what I do want to do is, now how much control do I want to take over instead of CodeWhisperer? I guess I need to take charge here. I'm going to say, def lists buckets here. Let's see, is it smart enough to know? There we go. Function. Oh, that's good. I like that. This is good. I mean, that's clean code too. Right? So it does seem, here we go. Count files. This is good. I like what it's doing here. So it does seem like there's just different behavior between the two tools. Like, if you want really solid and clean code here, this is very clean code. And return this. And so now the indents, that's killing me. You're killing me, CodeWhisperer. I don't like that. So now, fortunately, I have this little trick where I reformat my code. Although this is annoying that it would do that. We could do it again. Refactor. Annoying here that it's why is this? Let's see. So it looks like CodeWhisperer is, for whatever reason, does this weird thing with white space. So they need to fix that. I mean, again, it's beta, so I mean, I can't blame them too much. But with, you got to get Python white spacing. There we go. Refactor. So this is using Python Black and Python Lint to clean it up. So it says unused import click, because we need to now build out click. So now, is it smart enough? It does. It's smart enough. Let's see, name a bucket to count. No, I don't want that. I want to do, let's say build click group. There we go. That's good. We have that. No, we want this. So it's a little, they're different. They both behave differently. Um, Example would be Python. Okay, I like that. You did give me a good example. Um, we don't want that. We don't want that. You want that. That's essentially what I want. Although, look, see this? That's not the name I want. So that wasn't a good suggestion. S3 bucket count files. There you go. That's better. And now, is it smart enough to to actually know what I need to do next? So it is just hanging here, right? So it's like, hey, I did the click group. Why don't you know how to give me the next suggestion, which is a little bit annoying. Build. So I have to say at click. I don't even remember actually. So this is because the other tool just worked. So I have to look at AWS tools here. I have to look at my Copilot to remember what to do, right? So if I look at Copilot, see like I need next this, right? So basically build a click command for counts. That's what I want. Now, are you smart enough to know? Okay, there we go. Now, can I tell it? Did it screw this up again? No, no. Well, there. I would definitely say this is more beta than Copilot. Um, it's not as nice. Now, I am curious. Will it do this? Will it say like add, you know, use click colors? What happens? Can you prompt it like this? Are you smart enough? Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Use colors files. Okay. Well, that's good. So, I mean, the code that it does generate often is very high quality. I do like that. And I think it was going to tell me what to do next year. I don't know if you can, there must be like some kind of shortcut or something that you use to ask it to prompt you. I don't know if I'm missing it somehow. Like I'd have to read the documentation, but if I say, if I mean it does appear to if under what is it, tab it, yeah, tab it. I do here as well. If there we go. Hopefully, I don't have to use my mouse, which is kind of annoying. But and we chmod it plus X, um, CodeWhisperer, count. So let's do that. Okay, and then if we do count, there we go, and it was able to actually do it. So I mean, they both. I mean, I was able to do the same thing with both tools. I like the fact that Copilot, that Code Whisperer on Cloud9 works. That is awesome because anytime I use Cloud9, I obviously will use it because it's helpful. What is, I don't know if I like it better than Copilot. I do like Copilot, just to be honest. I like Copilot better. It feels a lot cleaner. I mean, I am going to check this in real quick. Add so I would say it's definitely better than not having a tool, and I will definitely use it. I hope that they speed up the suggestions, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure it's beta. I mean, AWS does make things better constantly, but I would say if I had, I guess I could do a maybe talking head here for a second about this. Is say so my summary, because I know that I've had some people ask me about this. The difference between the two is that Copilot experiences, I think, much better in terms of it fits my brain. Like my brain and Copilot are like in sync, where it really feels like someone's sitting right next to me, and I can code very, very quickly. I would say CodeWhisperer is pretty good. I mean, the suggestions it gives are extremely high quality suggestions, which for AWS code in particular, I think is great. And so it's definitely got a lot of promise. I would say the things that CodeWhisperer needs to improve is the response time. The white space indentation problem is fairly significant, and I think they should fix that. Given that they would fix both of those things, I think it would definitely be a great tool. I love that CodeWhisperer does work with Cloud9 though. And so, yeah, when I'm in Cloud9, I definitely will use CodeWhisperer. It's better than not having it for sure. I'm a little bit spoiled though, because Copilot is just really intuitive. The other thing I would say was Cloud9, if they could get the same features as GitHub code spaces where you can pre-build it, so it just launches super quick. So in general, the VM launch time isn't great. And if I could customize my Cloud9 environment and preload a bunch of libraries and everything on it. So, I would say a little more polished on the GitHub side, but I'm glad that the tool is available for me on AWS, and I'll definitely use it. All right, that's it for me.